Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Holly and this channel is all about my exploration of the world of graphic novels, sci-fi, and fantasy. Alright, so I've been reading Blackest Night by Jeff Johns and it's been a fabulous read so far. But I have to tell you, this story is so densely packed with action and information, and I get introduced to all of these new characters that I have no clue who they are. And so I'm having to kind of learn as I go along. And I'm just telling you all of this because there is no telling how many videos I'm going to wind up doing in order to tell this whole story. And actually, I'm okay with that because I want to make sure that I do this story justice and that I don't gloss over anything really important. And apparently, just about everything so far that I've read in this story is very important. But for this video, it's going to be the Carter and Kendra show, Hawkman and Hawkgirl. It is such a fascinating and really super cool part of the story that I am dedicating an entire video just to them. Also, I'm going to link the first two videos that I did on Blackest Night so that you can catch up if you need to. Alright, let's do this. And if you enjoy this content, I ask that you hit the like button, subscribe, share, and stick around for the rest of the video. So, I gotta tell you about Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Honestly, when I was reading this part of the story, I just thought this was kind of a side story, just for entertainment purposes only. But boy, was I very wrong. They turn out to be fairly important to this story. So here we go, Hawkman and Hawkgirl, the tale of Carter and Kendra. It's kind of a love story, a little bit of a soap opera. It doesn't really matter what we call it because it is definitely a tragedy. So they are at Chatsworth Museum, and I don't know if they live there. I think they might. Anyway, the super cool thing about them is that they can reincarnate. And each time that they do, they always reincarnate back as themselves. You know, they don't come back sometimes as a slug or a kitty cat or the King of England. It's always back as Carter and Kendra, and they always wind back up together. And this has been going on for centuries. Now, Carter has memories of their past lives together, which I think is pretty nice, but unfortunately, Kendra does not. And so Carter has to remind her every single time. And here's the kicker. There is always a catch. You know, you can't just have something nice happen for any long period of time. It turns out that they're cursed. Of course they are. Every time they profess their love for each other. And let me tell you, they don't even have to say the words. They don't actually have to profess it. Sometimes it's just if they begin having these feelings of love and affection for each other. But as soon as they do, it just starts the clock winding down on their lives. They have very little time left before they meet their demise. And this keeps happening over and over. And personally, I find this all very tragic. They don't ever get any time to actually enjoy each other once they realize that they love each other. And I guess you can tell where this story is headed. So, that's kind of their backstory. Now we're going to move on to the actual storyline in Blackest Night for them. So Carter is on the phone with a friend of his named Ray, who is also known as the superhero The Atom. And he is very small, and right now he is very upset because his ex-wife, Jean Loring, has just how can I put it? She has moved on to greener pastures. And Ray really wants to go visit her gravesite, but he doesn't want to go alone. And so, of course, he wants his good friend, Carter, to go with him. Well, let me tell you, Carter isn't having it. In fact, he's almost enraged over this request. He despises Jean Loring because she obliterated another character named Sue Dibney in this harebrained attempt to lure the Atom back into a relationship with her. Now, Sue was the wife of Ralph Dibney, a superhero known as the Elongated Man. Apparently, he can elongate and be very stretchy. But anyway, I think Carter really admired their relationship. He says that they have a very strong love. And I think that he actually really loved Ralph and Sue Dibney. So you see, this part of the story actually does kind of read like a soap opera. But now here comes the tragedy. Carter and Kendra are sort of arguing over his not wanting to go and support his friend Ray and go to the cemetery with him. And it's within this very heated discussion that Kendra begins to tell Carter, I do love. Well, she can't even get the sentence out. She can't even say, I do love you. Because apparently that's all it took, just the beginning of the sentence, because very suddenly, as often happens in these stories, Kendra is violently struck in the chest by a morning star. Now, don't think for a minute that I knew what a morning star is. I had to look it up. In fact, I was looking at it at first and I thought, is this a mace? I need to look this up. And so I Googled, what's the weapon that's a big ball with spikes on it? And I got a couple of options. And based on the description from Google, I knew it was either a morning star or a flail. So I actually then went back into the story, took a really good look at the illustration, and I did discover it was in fact a morning star. Although a flail is very similar. It's a ball with spikes that is connected to a handle by a chain. So I guess you whip that around, and then with the morning star, it's just kind of the handle with the ball with spikes on top, and you maybe just go like that. That's what happened to Kendra. Anyway, I really did not know that I was going to be learning a little bit about medieval weaponry in this story, but that was a lot of fun. All right, anyway, back to the tragedy. So Kendra's a goner, and Carter is next. And do you know who did them in? Well, it was a resurrected Ralph and Sue Dibney. They're now Black Lanterns. And this is horrible. Oh my gosh, this is so horrible. So the last thing that Carter would know and understand is that, well, number one, Ralph and Sue Dibney are back from the grave. And you have to wonder if he wondered very, very momentarily, oh my gosh, can they reincarnate? But I think perhaps he realized that they had not reincarnated, because the second thing he probably noticed was that the two of them were very hellish versions of their old selves. And then the last thing, they've come to rob him and Kendra of their lives. And Ralph Dibney was absolutely horrendous. I mean, beyond taking the lives of his friends. He leans over a dying Carter and says to him, hey, you want to know what Kendra was about to tell you? She was going to tell you that she hated you, and we all knew it. I mean, this is awful. Talk about adding insult to injury. And then, of course, we have William Hand, leader of the Black Lanterns, still holding Bruce Wayne's skull. Okay, come on. Why is he still carrying that thing around? I mean, seriously, in my last video, I did wonder, I mean, is this just like a trophy to him? And he's so in love with the fact that Bruce Wayne is gone that he's just carrying this thing around as a reminder? Or does he need it to conduct his nefarious war against all of humanity? You know, he does say that Bruce connects them all. So I'm wondering if he means that he connects all of the people who are deceased, all of the superheroes who are gone, or maybe he connects all of us, the living and the non-living. I don't know. Anyway, he says that Carter and Kendra will not be able to escape death this time. And I guess he means that they're not going to be able to reincarnate. And then we see this big skull, and I'm just now realizing that this big skull is Bruce Wayne's skull. Alright, I am now making a connection between the skull that William Hand is holding to, sometimes in the story, this big skull that we see. Up until right this moment, I thought it was two different skulls. Alright, okay, great. I'm glad I'm now making this connection, because apparently William does need Bruce Wayne's skull. It's not just as a trophy, as a reminder for what he's done. He needs it because these black rings come out of the mouth of the skull. And each ring actually claims a body. And in this case, one ring goes to Kendra's body and the other ring goes to Carter's body. And then we hear Carter Hall of Earth, Kendra Saunders of Earth, rise. And so I guess they are now Black Lanterns. They're undead. How is reincarnation going to work in this situation? You know, I would say that this ends the tale of Hawkman and Hawkgirl, but I really don't think that it does. I think there's a lot more to their story coming up later. And, you know, they're so different. Their ability to reincarnate makes them very unique. And I'm thinking and I'm hoping that it can be exploited in some way to defeat the Black Lanterns, or hopefully put an end to the Blackest Night. Alright, wrapping up here. Well, things have just gotten very interesting, and I cannot wait to read the next installment, and I look forward to sharing it with you. Alright, I'm out of here, but please stay tuned. I'll be right back.